You've been told that the reason your visualizations don't work is that you need to believe more, feel more, want it badly enough, be more consistent, raise your vibration, let go of the outcome, trust the process. None of that is wrong, exactly, but none of it is the actual answer. And you can tell because you've probably tried all of it, and you're still watching this video. Here's what's actually happening. When you visualize in the state most people are in when they sit down to do the work, mentally accelerated, slightly anxious, running an internal checklist, aware of everything that hasn't happened yet, your brain is not in the state where visualization has power. It is in the state where the critical faculty is fully active, where every image you generate is immediately compared against current reality and flagged as false, where the subconscious never receives the impression at all because the front door is locked from the inside. The image never arrives, it never lands, and so nothing changes. Jose Silva built an entire science around opening that door, deliberately, repeatedly, on command. Neville Goddard built an entire body of work around what to do the instant it opens. And what I want to give you today is the exact sequence that uses both, not as separate practices, but as a single integrated act that takes less than 10 minutes and works in a way your nervous system cannot ignore. But before the solution, you need to understand the full shape of the problem, because there isn't one reason visualizations fail. There are 4. And most people are running into all 4 simultaneously without realizing it. Visualization is the beginning of creation. That's not a motivational quote. That's a statement about how reality actually works. Everything that exists in the physical world was first conceived in the world of the mind. The past is composed of materialized thoughts. The present is the process of materializing thoughts. And the future? The future is composed of conceived thoughts. Not yet materialized, but already existing in the dimension of mind. Already real, already there. You just haven't brought them across yet. Jose Silva understood this. He spent decades studying the mind, and what he kept coming back to was this. The creative faculty doesn't live where most people are trying to use it. Most of us walk around in what's called the beta state, roughly 14 to 30 cycles per second of brain frequency. That's the state of focus, analysis, problem solving, urgency, scrolling through notifications, running through your to-do list, worrying about the bill that's due. In beta, your brain's job is to track threats, identify gaps, compare where you are against where you're supposed to be. It is a survival machine. And when you sit down in that state and try to visualize the life you want, your brain is simultaneously doing exactly what it's designed to do in beta. It's scanning for danger, comparing your mental image to your current reality, and flagging the discrepancy as a problem to solve. The critical faculty is fully online. The inner skeptic is right there. Every image you try to create gets immediately judged, questioned, interrupted. The visualization is weak. It barely leaves a mark. Now here is the crucial part. Silva found that when you slow the brain down to the alpha level, roughly 7 to 14 cycles per second, roughly 10 cycles, something changes at a fundamental level. The guard drops. The filtering mechanism that sits between your conscious intention and your subconscious mind relaxes its grip. What used to be called the subconscious opens up, becomes receptive, becomes writable. And at that level, the mental faculties we actually need for creation to happen, desire, belief, expectancy, love, these are right brain faculties. They belong to this dimension. They're available here in a way they simply aren't when you're running at beta speed. So Silva's method is essentially training, deliberate, repeatable training, to slow the brain waves down to that level and function from there consciously. The subconscious, consciously used. That's what this is. That's what all the countdown exercises, the morning and evening practices, the mental relaxation sequences are building toward. Access. A reliable doorway into the one dimension where the mind can actually do what you need it to do. But here's what I want you to sit with for a moment. Because most people who have heard of the alpha state, who have even practiced going there, are still not getting results. And the reason is this. They're doing visualization in the right state, but they're still doing the wrong kind of visualization. They're watching a movie. They're an audience member, sitting outside the scene, observing from a distance, thinking about how good it would be if this happened. And there's a crucial word there, if. Because as long as you're watching the scene from outside and thinking, this would be wonderful if it came true, you are communicating to your subconscious something very specific. You are communicating, this is not yet real. You are reinforcing the state of lack. The subconscious doesn't receive the desire as a seed. It receives the emotional information underneath the desire, and that information is still, I don't have this, I want this. This is over there, in the future, not here with me now. The brain works like a prediction machine. It constantly models what's real, what's probable, what to move toward. When you visualize with longing, genuinely wanting something, while feeling that you don't have it, you're not installing a new model. You're confirming the old one. The whole neurological apparatus reads the emotional signal beneath the image, and the emotional signal says absence, distance, hope without certainty. This is where Neville Goddard comes in. And this is where something remarkable happens when you put these two men in conversation with each other, because they were arriving at the same discovery from completely different directions. Neville didn't talk about brain frequencies. He didn't use scientific language. But what he taught was this. There is a state. He called it the state akin to sleep, in which the body is deeply relaxed, the conscious mind is quiet, the critical faculty is suspended, and the imagination becomes sovereign. He described it as the border country between waking and sleep, that drowsy, heavy, slack feeling just before you cross over into unconsciousness. In that state, he said, the imagination has the power to impress reality. What's fascinating is that neuroscience now describes exactly this state in terms of brainwave transitions, the hypnagogic zone, where alpha waves begin to give way to theta, where the brain becomes extraordinarily suggestible, where images presented with clarity and emotion bypass the skeptical gatekeeper and go straight into the deeper layers of memory, belief, and identity. This is the exact territory Silva was training people to access deliberately. Neville was accessing it naturally, by using the body's own biological rhythm of sliding toward sleep. Same window, same neurological mechanism, two different keys to the same door. But here is the deeper thing Neville taught, and this is what changes everything. He didn't just say, go to this state and visualize. He said, don't just see the scene from outside. Enter it, inhabit it, live it from the inside. He called this living in the end, not watching your future. Being it, right now, in this moment, in this state, as though it has already been done. There's a difference between visualizing yourself receiving a congratulatory phone call and actually hearing that voice in your ear, feeling the warmth in your chest, speaking the words of your response, letting the naturalness of it settle into you, as though you are remembering something that already happened, not previewing something you hope will happen. The first is a wish. The second is an installation. The first is you looking at a door. The second is you walking through it, turning around and feeling what it's like to already be on the other side. And Neville was precise about this. It's not the clarity of the image that does the work. It's the feeling. It's not a photographic sharpness of the mental picture that impresses the subconscious. It's the emotional temperature of the experience. A slightly blurry scene saturated with genuine relief, gratitude, and the naturalness of this is simply how things are now will do infinitely more than a crystal clear movie watched from a seat in the audience with no emotional charge. This, by the way, is backed up by everything neuroscience knows about how memory consolidation works. Emotions trigger the release of neuromodulators, norepinephrine, dopamine, that strengthen the encoding of experiences. Emotional experiences are remembered more deeply, believed more readily, and treated as more real by the brain. A cold image doesn't do that. An image soaked in the specific emotional tone of this is done, this is mine, this is real, that has weight. That gets written in. So now let's name the 4 failure points precisely, because naming them is how you stop running into them blind. The first is the one we started with, trying to visualize in beta, still accelerated, still anxious, still mentally running through lists and worries and what might go wrong. In that state, the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for sustained focus and creative visualization, is being actively suppressed by stress hormones. The critical inner voice is at full volume, and every image you try to hold gets interrupted, judged, and discarded before it can take root. You cannot plant a seed in concrete. You have to prepare the soil first. Getting to alpha is preparing the soil. The second failure point is visualizing with want instead of with having. This is the most common mistake, and it's subtle enough that most people never catch it. You can close your eyes, enter a relaxed state, build a scene in your mind, and still be, at the emotional level, in the position of someone who wants something they don't yet have. The image says abundance. The feeling underneath says lack. The subconscious reads the feeling, not the image, and the subconscious is conservative. It will reinforce what's already there, what's emotionally familiar, what registers as the dominant state. The third failure point is what Silva called missing the 3 conditions: desire, belief, and expectancy. Not just wanting, truly desiring with specificity and clarity. Not just picturing, genuinely believing that this is possible within your understanding of the world. And not just believing in possibility, but expecting it, treating it not as something that might happen if circumstances cooperate, but as something already in motion, already inevitable. When all 3 align inside you, the emotional signal you're sending to the subconscious is completely different. The brain updates its prediction model. It starts treating the desired outcome as the baseline, as the thing to move toward, to act from, to expect to encounter. The 4th failure point is using the wrong hemisphere for the experience. Most people, when they try to visualize, are actually running an internal monologue. They're describing the scene to themselves in words. They're narrating. That's left hemisphere mode. Analytical, verbal, sequential. And it keeps the experience at the conceptual level without ever engaging the visual, spatial, and emotional networks that give the scene texture, color, dimensionality, and felt reality. Talking about the desire inside your head is not the same as seeing it, hearing it, feeling it in the body. The subconscious doesn't respond to narration the way it responds to experience. So what does the solution look like? It's a fusion. Take Silva's method for entering the state and Neville's method for what to do once you're there. Use one to solve the other's weakness, because practitioners of Neville often have no reliable training for stabilizing the state. They drift, they fall asleep too quickly, they can't hold the scene steady, their minds wander, and practitioners of Silva often master the alpha level and the mental screen, but populate it with vague, generic imagery that carries no deep personal meaning or emotional charge. They've built the cinema, but they're showing the wrong film. Here's how you combine them. Before you even begin, get clear on a single desire, one thing. Translate it into one short scene, 10 to 15 seconds, that could only be happening if your desire had already been fulfilled, not the process. Not the journey, the moment of completion. A friend saying something to you that implies the thing is done. A feeling in your hands holding what you wanted. A sound, a voice, a gesture. Something specific, personal, charged with meaning. Make it a moment you could actually experience, not a concept, not a vision board. A moment. Then sit or lie down comfortably. Close your eyes. Take a slow, deep breath and let your body start to release. Move your awareness progressively through your body, from the crown of your head down, scalp, forehead, eyes, jaw, neck, shoulders, chest, arms, belly, hips, legs, feet. Just noticing, just releasing. You're not forcing anything. You're creating the conditions. As your body settles, bring your closed eyes slightly upward as though you're looking at a point just above your line of sight. Begin a slow, quiet countdown, from 10 to 1 or from 50 to 1 if you need more time. With each count, let the body become heavier, the mind quieter, the internal chatter softer. You're descending. You're going to your level. At the bottom of that count, tell yourself simply, I'm at my level now. Perfectly calm, perfectly focused, open. Now imagine a large screen directly in front of you, a cinema screen, placed at a comfortable distance, filling most of your inner visual field. Practice on something simple first. Place a simple object there. A piece of fruit, a candle, an open door. Let it be steady, vivid, three-dimensional. Notice color, light, texture. Let the image stabilize. Then, when you're ready, remove it and bring in your scene. But here's the moment where everything changes. Don't watch it. Step into it. Switch from third person to first person. Stop looking at yourself in the scene and start looking from your own eyes within the scene. What do you see in front of you? What do you hear? What do you feel in your body? Let the emotional temperature rise, not forced, not performed, but genuine. Invite the feeling of relief, of gratitude, of natural satisfaction, of course, this is how things are. Let that feeling spread through your body like warmth, and hold it. Loop the scene gently, the same few seconds, over and over, not urgently, not with effort, but the way you'd revisit a memory that makes you smile, until it starts to feel obvious, natural, as though this isn't a wish you're making, but a fact you're remembering. That shift from striving to remembering is the signal that the installation is taken. That's the feeling you're looking for. That's when you know you've gone from watching to being. Stay in that for as long as it holds, then let the scene dissolve on its own. Count slowly back up from 1 to 5, and as you do, tell yourself that you're returning to full waking awareness, carrying the quiet certainty that what you've inhabited is already in motion. Already real at the level of cause. Already done in the only place that truly matters first. Then open your eyes. Do this in the mornings, when your brain is naturally still in alpha. Those first minutes before the day rushes in, before the phone gets picked up, before the thoughts start accelerating. Do it at night when the body begins to slide towards sleep and the subconscious is naturally most receptive. Sandwich your day between those two states. And between them, during the hours of ordinary life, hold the identity. Not the technique, the identity. Don't think of yourself as someone trying to manifest something. Think of yourself as someone for whom it is already so. Speak internally from that place. Make decisions from that place. Walk with that center of gravity. Because this is what Silva was pointing at when he said that the fruit is the acid test. Not what you say you can do. Not what you intend to do. What you actually get done. What actually materializes. And what materializes is always the reflection of what has first been established in the dimension of mind. The physical world follows. It is a shadow of what takes place in the world of the mind. The duplicate. The echo. And what Neville understood, what he spent his life demonstrating and teaching, is that the entry point into that creative dimension isn't reserved for mystics or special people or those with unusually vivid imaginations. It's a state any person can learn and enter, a state you already visit every night as you fall asleep and every morning as you rise. The question isn't whether you have access. The question is whether you're using it deliberately, with a prepared scene, with the right emotional content, with the position of someone who knows that the thing is already done. So stop watching your future from the outside, stop narrating it to yourself with words, stop forcing it from a brain still buzzing at beta frequency. Slow down. Go to your level, open the screen, step into the scene, feel the end as though it is now, and hold that feeling until it becomes your normal. That is how visualization stops being a ritual of hope and becomes an act of creation. That is the beginning. That is where the physical world takes its instructions from. That is the mind working the way the mind was always designed to work, consciously, deliberately, from the dimension where thought becomes thing. The rest is just physics catching up.